Broadcasting live worldwide.
Talkline Network Radio, America's longest-running Jewish broadcast network, the voice of the Jewish community.
And now,
you're listening to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast on the air since 1981.
Here is your host.
Okay, Joey Borgen joins us. He's 29 years old. He is a graduate of Hafter. He is an accountant, and he was beaten up by Palestinian sympathizers and thugs in Manhattan just the other day. So, Joey Shvuato, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Brenner. It's been a whirlwind couple of days, but I'm happy I could be here and, just spread some awareness and hopefully, bring some positivity out of this event.
No, I certainly appreciate that. And first of all, how are you feeling now?
I'm a little banged up, but I'll be frank, I saw that video and, the fact that I got to spend Shabbos with my family and home and everything really was just a great relief, so honestly, I'm just, a little more thankful than, really more upset, but it's okay. It's all right.
So tell us exactly what happened. You're wearing a yarmulke, you're going to a pro-Israel rally. What happens? Take us back.
Yeah, so I just want to preclude that, with the fact that, I went to a rally at the same location, the same time frame. Last week, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, same exact plaza. I met my friends there. I was there upwards of, 2-3 hours without any issue, wearing my kippah, there and back, going home without any problem. So when the opportunity arose to, attend the second rally on Thursday night, I didn't even, swipe, I didn't even think twice. So, same routine, took the subway, took the Q to 57th and 7th, got off, was walking to the rally, and, around 48th Street by, where Broadway and 7th kind of merged together, all of a sudden, I see someone in the back of my eye chasing me, and before I could even react, I was, surrounded by a mob of people, proceeded to, beat me, hit me, punch me, hit me with crutches, flagpoles, etc.
About how many people would you say were accosting you?
I would say, there were people jumping in and out of the crowd, but I would say probably between 8 to 12 people, at certain points were, going to town on me, as they say. But the worst part of it all, honestly, is towards the end, I felt like a steady stream of liquid coming on my face, and I thought, my first instinct was, maybe they're going to the bathroom on me, something like that. But it was actually pepper spray or mace, and for a minute straight, they were macing me after the fact, and that was the worst part of the experience. My whole face was on fire. I couldn't see for hours.
Oh my.
I don't know if that was picked up. That was very, that was rough.
Now, were they saying anything to you when they were spraying mace or beating you? Did they say anything?
Yeah, they were saying the classic Jewish derogatory terms, filthy Jew, dirty Jew, go back to Israel, we don't want you here, F you, et cetera, along those lines. And, they were coming from all directions. I couldn't really decipher who was saying what, but, I just heard chorus of all these, statements and, anti-Semitic remarks.
Now, how long before so what happened? How did you get out of this situation? Was it the police? Was it bystanders? How did you finally break away from them?
So I think ultimately what happened after a few minutes was, I believe, I don't remember the whole exact incident, I'm a little, it's a little foggy, but from what I remember from what I saw, eventually, I guess I felt the comfort of, the police, trying to pick me up as opposed to someone else. And I guess I realized at that point, once the police were there and they had me, okay, that I felt comfortable, getting up from the, the field position. Because as soon as they were attacking me, I just dropped to the ground and grabbed my head and face and was just, bracing for impact and just, waiting for it to be over. And then eventually the cops came, dispersed the crowd, broke them up. And then, obviously the ambulance came and took me to Bellevue, and then, the rest from there.
Now, but the cops didn't intervene to save you right away.
I'll be honest. I don't know if the cops were they weren't present at the scene. I was kind of, just walking down the street. They came, pretty quickly. And beyond that, when I was at the hospital, the hate crime unit, some of the highest levels of the hate crime unit, met with me in the hospital. My father was there with me. So they seem pretty intent on, finding beyond the one guy they already have in custody. I saw they released a screenshot of, 5 more suspects. So I would love, if more tips came in. And, I actually have a grand jury on Wednesday in regards to the one suspect they have in custody. So hopefully, some justice is served, in the very end.
Right, and I think they're looking for the rest of them. If they have one, hopefully they can find
Yeah.
the rest. Have they
Yeah.
communicated to you what the progress is being made as far as the investigation is concerned, as tracking down other people?
Yeah, so I spoke to them Friday morning. I spoke to maybe 15, 20 different detectives in the hospital, and then, I was kind of in it, a little out of it, But the next morning I spoke to, one of the detectives who's, really on top of the case, and then she, told me, the whole situation on Friday, the whole bail arrangement, the whole process. And, she even mentioned to me that they were pushing for bail, which, I follow, the New York, the legal, what's going on, the legal world. Bail these days is hard to get. So, even the fact that they got bail for him, shows a sign at least that, it's taken more seriously. And, he's charged with second-degree assault plus elevated with a hate crime. Hopefully this guy, I'll be honest, I have no remorse for this guy because I saw tonight there was an article I saw today, someone sent me that, after Shabbos, that he was interviewed in jail and he said he would do it again.
Wow.
It really infuriated me, to be honest, yes. That really, really, that's been on my mind, really bothered me.
Well, it will bother anybody.
Yeah.
They do it again.
Yeah.
There's no remorse. And you know what gets to me, supposedly they're for Palestinians and they're anti-Israel. Why are they picking by the guy with a yarmulke? They're in Midtown Manhattan. They're picking, it's a war against the Jew.
100%. It wasn't an Israel thing at that point. It was a Jew thing, 1,000%. Because I wasn't even at the rally yet. I wasn't I wasn't doing any. I wasn't protesting. I wasn't doing anything. I was literally on the way to the rally. I was texting my friend, "I'll see you in a few minutes," and next thing you know, everything unfolded.
Now, there were at least 6 people that attacked her, according to what the paper said. Vasas Nice is reporting it's Wassem Awande of Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, who was arrested, the first one arrested for attacking you. But he also attacked a police officer last November, and he was charged with 2 counts of assault on a police officer, 2 counts of assault, reckless endangerment, resisting arrest, obstructing government administration, disorderly conduct. So this person has a history of doing these kinds of things.
I'll be honest, that's the first I've heard about that. I'm not trying to dig too much into it because it really upsets me, but that's a piece of news that's actually probably pretty relevant considering he's, indicted and everything, and sentencing will be forthcoming. So
it's more than that. He was back in police custody 1 month later, received just a desk appearance for a separate incident involving a switchblade and a pellet, and charged with 2 counts of criminal possession of a weapon. He was also arrested 4 times this year, twice in March, twice in April, for aggravated unlicensed operation of a motor vehicle. You're talking about a bad guy, and I would suspect the rest of the group are also bad, terrible people.
Right. I did not. Wow, that's very revealing to me. But and that doesn't surprise me considering what what he did to me and what he said, and subsequently, I'm not surprised.
Now, you proudly wore a yarmulke going into the street and going to the rally. You coming in a positive way. Does this affect
Correct.
how you walk in the street? Are you concerned wearing a yarmulke again?
It's interesting. I've thought about that back and forth. Obviously, I'm a proud Jew, and I want to keep wearing my yarmulke. But maybe, like, for example, I live in the Upper East Side, and I've experienced zero, up until this point, whatever, but I haven't seen any signs of, anti-Semitism really rearing its head in where I live in, that area. I live in an area where there's a lot of Jews. I have a lot of friends around. Thankfully for now, it seems pretty peaceful, but so in my immediate area, I don't think I would, hesitate to wear it again. And, for example, I'm home in Lawrence, and, I feel pretty safe here as well. So, in these areas, I wouldn't, I wouldn't hesitate to wear kippah or yarmulke. But, if I was going to the rally, honestly, first of all, I would go with a group of friends. I don't think I'd go myself again, just because I'm a little wary. Mm-hmm. But, if I was with a group of friends, I'd feel more comfortable. But maybe if I was by myself walking in the city, I don't know. If I heard people yelling at me, maybe I would take it off, but I'd like to think that I would still wear it, honestly.
No, listen, it's tough because we're seeing rising anti-Semitism, so I can understand concern, but at the same time, you're a proud Jew, and certainly our hearts go out to you and sympathize, and we hope they throw the book at these guys. Joey Borgen is our guest. As you heard, he's 29 years old. You went to Hafter High School, correct?
Correct, yeah. Then I went to Reshit. It's called Reshit Yerushalayim, but it's in Beit Shemesh. I went to Reshit for the year in Israel, amazing year. I spent the year in Israel, and then I went to Baruch College.
And you're practicing accounting, living on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Joey Borgen is our guest. He was a victim of hate by Palestinian hatred directed against Jews. They're just using what's happening in Israel as an excuse. You're talking about the first arrest, as I mentioned, is a very bad individual. He's a criminal. I don't know why he was let out in the first place, but he's out to do more damage. When we come back, we continue our conversation with Joey. We're going to be right back. Don't go away. You're listening to the Talkline Network.
Talkline radio and TV with Zev Brenner is just phenomenal. Everybody concerned about the Jewish community should listen and watch. He has the best guests. He asks the most interesting questions. He's always so well prepared. It's talk radio and television from a Jewish point of view at its very best.
To advertise on the Talkline network and Talkline's email and social media blasts reaching over 70,000 people, please call 212-769-1925, extension 100. That's 212-769-1925, extension 100. Or email info@talklinenetwork.com.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
You're listening to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast on the air since 1981.
And now your host.
Let's go to our guest. He was victimized he was beaten up by Palestinian thugs and their sympathizers on the street of Manhattan. And I'm just getting reports in that today in Brooklyn that there was another attack on Jews, that two Jewish teenagers walking in a well-populated and heavily Jewish neighborhood are grateful to be alive after being attacked in broad daylight by a group of Palestinian men. Mitchell Schwartz said that his son and his nephew were accosted on 18th Avenue and Ocean Parkway in Brooklyn. And they were passing Uber drivers, saw that they were happening. They had baseball bats. They were joining the attack. They wanted to say Free Palestine. And they were saved by a Muslim Uber driver. Joey Borgen is our guest. He was victimized. Joey, did you hear from the mayor or the governor or anybody about being attacked?
I have not personally heard from them. I've seen screenshots of their Twitter, posting and things like that, but I'd be more than welcome for the opportunity to communicate with them and speak with them more in depth about, what took place.
Okay, let's go to Jeff in Brooklyn. You have a question for our guest. Jeff in Brooklyn.
Well, actually, I have a comment. This is more and more prevalent, more and more happening, and obviously the government is not doing anything about it, even for Asians, whatever. If we don't take our own defense issues into our own hands the way it used to be with the Jewish Defense League and HOP some years ago, and form our own defense, and Shomrim is basically workless, and they come in after the fact, then this is going to continue to happen. And what worries me even more is that they're calling for the rape of Jewish women. I don't know if you heard that, okay, which is quite unusual from Arabs because they usually go around raping little boys. But
hold on. Let's not stereotype all Arabs. You're talking about a small group, but it's a group that's violent. As we heard before, their violent tendencies. Some of them have attacked police officers. These are criminal thugs, but let's not say all Muslim because it's not true. In fact, there was a Muslim Uber driver that saved two Jewish boys earlier this evening from being attacked. So let's be cognizant of that.
Why should he get the Kiddush Hashem? The Jews should learn how to defend themselves, and then they won't have to worry. Once a couple of these Arab guys get their heads smashed to pieces, believe me, they're cowards. That won't happen anymore. But I want to talk about rape right now. I monitor what's called the crime watchers monitors. Every crime that's ever reported to a police station or they hear about, find out, they write down. And they're in little snippets in little community magazines, or they have their own things. And over the years, I've cut out a significant amount of rapes of young Jewish girls in the Hasidic communities like Borough Park, and it's usually by Mexican immigrants or Spanish immigrants.
I don't want to get too far afield from our topic of conversation.
And this is not off the, but I'm saying.
Okay, so what you're saying is you'd like to see a Jewish defense organization protecting Jews. Is basically what you're saying, correct?
Jews, all yeshivas have to start teaching kids now how to fight and to fight dirty. Period. Every single yeshiva.
All right, Jeff, I appreciate your phone call. Thank you. Let's move on to Stan in Forest Hills. Go ahead, Stan in Forest Hills. Your question for our guest.
Yeah, unbelievable. Have you heard at all, not just him, Zev, from any Palestinian organization in the city condemning this situation? I would suspect this is the first time I've heard of it, this group and so forth, that they're going in wolf pack. Has there been any comment by any Palestinian organization or even the PLO organization here in New York related to this at all, Zev? Have you heard any?
Well, by the way, they probably would support these thugs.
Well, have there been any comments by any of these organizations?
I haven't heard from them here in the States, but Joey, have you heard from any Arab groups or any other groups that say, "Hey, Joe, we're sorry what happened to you"?
I'm personally no. I'm like I said earlier. Like I don't really. I'm very exhausted, and the experience took a toll on me. I'm not really looking to actively find out who's supporting.
All right. Question: what street did this happen on in Manhattan directly? Is that where this happened initially?
Correct. Yeah, it was about 6:45 p.m.
Where?
Around 48th, between 7th Broadway area.
Wow.
Right there.
Wow.
Part of, Times. I was a block or two away from the rally. The rally was at 47th and 7th.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you for your phone call, and we appreciate it. Okay, let's squeeze in one or two more phone calls, 212-769-1925. Nathan in Brooklyn, go ahead, your question or comment. Nathan, are you there?
Yes, thank you so much. Your show is really, really awesome. I just wanted to ask a question to the guest, and then I'd like to make a comment. The question I have is, do you feel at all, or did this attack make you feel like, as much secure as we feel in the United States of America and this awesome country, we're able to, serve Hashem and worship God and follow our religion, that we're really not that safe and we're not that free, and we really have to turn over our complete reliance to Hashem and to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And then before you answer that, just my comment, notice when you said, I was wearing my kippah in the city when they came to attack me. You didn't say you were wearing your kippah sruga. You didn't say you were wearing your felt kippah, your knitted kippah, whatever kind of black hat or any hats that we wear, because we're all one people. They just want to go after the Jewish people in total. So I think one of the main ways that we would be able to stand up to the people that are coming after us is if we learn how to get along and realize we're all one people. We just received the Torah from Har Sinai, and we all stood together.
We are one people. We are, and Israel, unprecedented unit in Israel. Let Joey respond to you.
I mean, before going into that, I have a brother who's 23, 24 years old, who I had lunch with today. He wears a black hat. He has a full beard. He went to Israel. He flipped out, as they say. He learned Shoyashiv, Yeshivim for Akaway, daily and Kolel. So I see all sides of the spectrum, and I have the utmost support for him, and I love what he does because he's happy, and that makes him, it's great for the Jewish people. In terms of wearing my kippah, it was just a normal kippah. I wasn't wearing an Israeli flag or anything, so they definitely targeted me because of my Judaism. There's no other distinguishing factor between me and anyone else in the street that would have, essentially, made me, stand out from the crowd.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for your phone call. I appreciate it. So thank you so much then. Let's go to Maish in Brooklyn. Maish in Brooklyn, your question for our guest. Go ahead, Maish.
Yeah. Yes, he was by the protest, or this happened a couple blocks away from the protest?
I was en route to the protest. So I was at a protest last week, at the same location. So I was going back literally to the same spot, the same everything. But, this time I was at 48th Street.
Did you see any police presence on the street when you were there?
So at the main presence of the rally, there was a big police presence, but I had not made it to that point yet. So, if I had made another 2 blocks, I would have, most likely been, in the protection of a larger crowd and, a larger police presence. But, within a couple of minutes, I honestly, I don't know, because it was I had no frame of reference. But
right, I understand. So you have to watch your surroundings and be careful.
Yeah.
Zev, I'd like to make a note. I was in the Jewish area in Brooklyn today. I didn't see any police. Usually in such times there's police by shuls or something. Didn't see nothing, and people were talking in shul. Where are the police?
Yeah,
there's no police
it's a good point. There's supposed to be a bigger police, but we'll talk about what Bill de Blasio.
No, there was a whole thing Friday with the mayor.
Well, we're going to speak to Rabbi Yerucham, and we'll find out from Chaskel Bennett what happened with the mayor. Yes,
but you mean nothing happened, Zev?
They promised extra police, but you're right. I believe
where were you? You were in the city for your Shabbos, I would imagine.
I was actually in Long Island in front of the shul, the Little Beach Synagogue. There was a police car, but they also had a private security guard from the shul.
Yeah, you had. Okay, fine, but in Manhattan, I wonder if there were police in the shuls.
I'm not sure, but let me. But thank you for your. Let me just say this. I think that we had security for a lot of the shuls prior to COVID. COVID came, people stopped going to shuls. There was less security in shuls. I think we have to, unfortunately, beef up security again in all the shuls because of what's going on. Unfortunately, but we have to do so. Joey, we appreciate you being here with us. Any thoughts, final thoughts you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, I mean, I hope this doesn't deter anyone from, showing that they're Jewish publicly. I mean, I want to say it won't do it to me. Maybe I'll have a little hesitation, in the next few days. But, before too long, I'm going to be back at normal, wearing my kippah, doing what I got to do. But, yeah, I mean, I guess, with the hostilities taking place, I guess everyone just, be a little careful, being alert. And, I mean, maybe at night, if, you're walking around alone in some areas, maybe just walk with someone else if you can, or, maybe try avoid going out. That would be my advice, I guess. Yeah,
well, I was going to say that, we have to, it always pays to look around, but there was no way that you could have prevented it because you're walking down Midtown Manhattan in the middle of the day.
The heart of the day, yeah.
And who would even think?
It wasn't like that.
Who would even think?
I would never,
I would never have thought, and you would never have thought, the average person never have thought that you're in danger walking in the middle of the day in Midtown Manhattan.
I mean, I'm the biggest, proponent of New York. My father is always telling me I got to move to Florida. I love New York. I've been here my entire life, and never once in my life did I bat an eye about wearing a kippah or, showing that I was Jewish. Exactly.
Listen, we appreciate what you went through. You are, thank God you're going to go ahead. You're not hurt too badly, but you were hurt. You were in the hospital, so our hearts go out to you. And we hope that they throw the book. We have to put pressure on the police department and on the mayor and all the elected officials to make sure that the whole gang of at least 6 people, they should all be arrested. They shouldn't have any. They shouldn't go out without any bail. And we have to make sure that they're prosecuted to the full extent of the law to make a lesson of them. And as we said, the one that they caught so far is somebody who's a thug. He has weapons. He's been arrested before. He's threatened cops. You're talking about very bad people. And unfortunately, they live here in New York, and we have to do whatever we can. But thank you for being who you are and continued success in your endeavors.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And thanks for taking the time, and I just want to, spread awareness and hopefully some positivity can come out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And keep strong, and I look forward to having you back again. And Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov. Thanks, guys. Enjoy.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
This concludes Talkline's Jewish broadcasts on radio for tonight. For continuous Jewish programs, please go now to talklinenetwork.com or our 24-hour-a-day listen line at 641-741-0389. For past shows, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, Instagram, and all major podcast platforms or jewishpodcast.org. Thanks for listening to the talklinenetwork.com.